Hello friends, this is Promi and welcome back to the Kerbal Commonwealth Space Agency. As I mentioned in the last episode, the next destination is Minmus for our Kerbals. So, with that in mind, we are going to go to the VAB and design our Minmus rocket. Alright, here we are in the VAB. Let us start out by opening up the gray vector. And we're pretty much going to redesign this service module. We'll keep the capsule. It's pretty well designed. Installed a mod that gives the heat shields their own decoupler that's integrated. So I'd be able to attach a tank right to the bottom. And this would be able to decouple just like that. But we did have a contract that required us to take the large Rockomax decoupler up to 500 meters, I think, or 500,000 rather. Yeah, 500 to 510. I was going to use one of these for our main stage separation anyway, but it looks like we're going to need to have it here as well if we want to do that contract. It's a pretty chunky decoupler for a simple capsule, but I guess that's what we need to do for the contract. So the next thing we need to do is put some life support on here. Now Minmus takes quite a bit longer to get to than the Mun, but one of each of those universal storage wedges should still do us. So we can do food opposite of the oxygen. Put the water here, and then I will balance that out with some liquid fuel. Now I could use the Kerbal inventory system container, because I do need some space, not as much as in the Mun mission, because we are not going to be assembling a rover. I have a different idea in mind, which we'll see soon. And so what we need to bring is just the surface experiments package, and I think we can keep all that in the capsule. So I'm just going to fill out the rest of this with liquid fuel. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is a service bay that's going to hold our little auxiliary craft. We'll get to that in due time. Got these new larger fuel tanks, which are going to make up the bulk of this design. So that should be enough fuel for our service stage, upper stage, landing stage, all those things. Now, Minmus's gravity is much lower than the Mun, so we can get away with just one of these LV909s. Don't need to have three of them like before. Now we need some landing legs. They're a little bit weird since 1.1, but they're not in quite as bad shape as the wheels. Hopefully version 1.1.3, which the devs have been talking about, will fix some of the issues. They've also talked about doing a minor update to the Unity engine in 1.2. Okay, I'll leave those extended for now so we can work on what's going to be in the service bay. But before I do that, I've got one more thing to add to the bottom here. I like these orange toroidal tanks. They almost took them out of the game actually, but good thing they didn't. A little extra fuel and gives a little more detail to our lander. That looks pretty nice. And then I'm going to put a solar panel in the middle. I think our capsule actually needs a bit of solar panels as well. Could probably bring them in just a little bit. That looks good. Okay, so that is our landing stage. Should be good enough to go to Minmus and land, take off, and return. Now we're going to deal with this service bay. Now what I'm going to do instead of a rover for exploring Minmus is I'm going to build some flyers. We don't have access to RCS thrusters yet, but we can use a tiny little liquid fuel engine. Be plenty for getting around in Minmus's low gravity. So I'm just going to do a single one of these attached to the side for now, but they will end up in the bay, and there will be two of them. Probably one for Kirksey and one for Madya, while our pilot remains at the landing site. I think I'll take Valentina. Okay, now that nozzle is going to be fairly delicate, and we need something to land on. I think even the little micro legs probably be too large, so I'm just going to use some cubic octagonal struts. There we go. Now, one of the problems with having an engineer and a scientist fly these is that they don't have the ability to hold stability themselves, so I'm going to use an octo probe core. And this also will cover our needs for a reaction wheel. These things will have plenty torque for a vessel of this size. Let's put a command seat on the top. Little chair on top of a rocket. So we need something to store our science in. Although I did discover that if you trade scientific data back and forth between Kerbals, they can hold more than they otherwise would be able to. But it's still nice to have the... I had to modify this a little bit to get it to work in the new version. I think it's was Kerbal inventory system code that I took and stuck in the part file to make it work again. I tweaked the texture a little bit because I thought it was a little bit too green, so I shifted it a little bit more toward the yellow. I think it looks better this way. Let's just tweak this so it's not intersecting. Okay, what else do we need on here? So maybe this whole thing should go forward. It's hanging off the back a little bit too much. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to put magnetometer boom on the back of this. Let's put it, we angle it a little bit. Okay, so that'll look a little bit silly when it's deployed, but it's okay. I assume that the extensible structure on that is extremely lightweight, so we should be fine. We'll put a mystery goo on the bottom. That'll balance out the look a little bit too. And so this one will have a thermometer. Then I'll put the barometer and seismic accelerometer on the other flyer. Now we need some solar panels. Perhaps a battery. How much? Actually, both the scientist field equipment has 75 charge and the octo-core has 10. So it should have a fairly good amount of charge, but we need some way to keep that charge, or replenish it rather. So I will use two of these small solar panels, sort of angle them, can give them sort of a wing-like look. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so that is our flyer. Now I'm just going to get another one of these. We're going to make the second one a little bit different. The second one's not going to have the magnetometer, it's not going to have the mystery goo, and it's not going to have the thermometer. So replace the thermometer with the barometer. Might need to alter those solar panels a little bit. I could just recess it down until it's not clipping anymore. Put the seismic on here. Let's get right in here. Okay, yeah, I think we're just going to recess it down until it's not clipping. Okay, so our instruments are on. Now we need our laser light imager. Okay, so we need this to be angled, I think. Because if I do a test... Okay, that's actually enough. Is it clipping? A little bit. Good, good. I'll try fiddling with it a little bit. Still good? Okay. I think that looks decent. Okay, we're going to try to stick these things in the cargo bay now. First, let's try to evenly fit these on the decoupler. Okay, I don't think I'm gonna actually fiddle with the how much it's recessed in. I'm just gonna try to align them the same. Let's grab this. Put that one like that. Is it good? Yeah, I think it's good. Okay, same thing with this one. Okay, they should fit kind of opposed to each other like that, and the solar panels shouldn't be in the way of each other. So now we need to get that solar panel in. Just enough. And looks pretty good. Huh, I never noticed that the bay has one side with ripples and one side that's smooth. I wonder why that is. Okay, well it should be fairly balanced. And we should just be able to decouple them and push them out of the bay on Minmus. I don't think the Minmian gravity will accelerate them too much before they hit the ground. We could probably just pick up the whole thing anyway with the Kerbal attachment system. Let's set up our inventory. So we have one more surface experiment package unit available now, the solar wind spectrometer. So seat 0 is Madya. So we've got the central station, retroreflector, cold cathode neutral ion detector, interior heat probe, and our new solar wind thing, except that puts us over the limit. So tools, yes, okay. Seat 0, that's the bottom one, that's Madya. Seat 1's going to be Valentina, so seat 2 will be Kirksey, and she can have the solar wind unit. And actually I wonder, might make more sense to give Madya the power conduits and give Kirksey some of these other units. Okay. Yes. I think we are pretty much done with this. So this will be our vessel to Minmus. We are going to call it the Turquoise Sky. Hope I spelled that correctly. Now we can keep building. So I'm going to get another one of those Rocket.Contracts decouplers. I should be able to offset it up like that, and it shouldn't cause any trouble. That looks great. Okay, let's drag this whole thing up. Now when I was figuring out delta V earlier, I needed one of these tuna cans and 4 of these medium-sized 2-meter tanks. There we go, getting quite large. But this rocket should be quite a bit simpler than the one we used on the Gray Vector. That was the L6 Inferno, which had many boosters and even more engines. So even the boosters had multiple engines. Unfortunately, we don't have the big skipper engine yet. So I'm going to put a swivel in the middle that will give us some thrust vectoring capability. And I'm going to use these Reliants, use 4 of them. It's actually editor extensions is allowing me to directly attach these. Without that mod, I'd have to use a cubic octagonal strut in there, and that's just, you know, one more part. So this just sort of cuts out the middleman, so to say. I think I want to rotate this 45 degrees, because then we'll have better control over the spacing. Just don't want them to touch each other too much, or really at all, because we get some overheating problems. Now, this is pretty ugly, so what we're going to do, been a trick for a long time, is use one of these tail connectors. And we can just translate them out, and then have a pretty nice looking rocket. Yep, we could even rotate them a little bit. Wanted this to a little bit smoother. Okay, I like the look of that. And before I add some boosters on here, I do want some aerodynamic control. So we're going to use these Delta Deluxe winglets. They're got a pretty good surface area, and they got integrated control surface. I'm going to recess them in a bit because they're probably a bit longer than they need to be. Okay, so that is our core, or sustainer, whichever you want to call it. Now onto the boosters. So first we'll need just a regular old radial decoupler and some fuel tanks. So I will need 2 of the large ones and 1 small one. Put a nose cone on here. I like the angled ones. And they're all just going to have the Reliant engine. Now, parachutes, I am going to try to recover these boosters. They won't need to take us quite as far as the ones for the L6 Inferno, because that was pretty much all booster. They tend to be most heavy on the bottom. So I'm going to see if I go like this and maybe land the boosters sideways. I think they might survive better. So we're going to give that a try. Okay, let's bring this down. Let's bring it right down to be in line with the other engines. We can probably bring the boosters in just a little bit. Good. And I'm going to put a strut in there just to keep them attached properly. So I'll just go like this. Let's put a snapping back on. Okay, and let's get this so it looks about right. There we go. Looks good. Alright, we are looking good. Am I forgetting anything? Oh, we need to fix our staging. I think that's why our Delta V readouts there don't look quite right yet. Okay, so the parachute's definitely our last one. Decouple, engine, these decouplers. Where's the other one? Oh, here we go. Staging for the little flyers. Pretty much just need to go near the top because we're going to manually stage them anyway. Actually, I'm going to put them right at the top. Okay, that looks right. Okay, so finally, let's just add some launch clamps on here, although I think with this design they shouldn't actually be necessary. There we go. Okay, and I think we are looking good. So now we need to name our whole rocket, and Turquoise Sky is the name of the craft, and the lifter is going to be the L-7 Starfire. And save it. Okay, now before we launch this into space, let's go back to the Space Center. Alright, first I want to see what new contracts Gene has for us since last we checked in. Okay. So that one should be easy, so we'll get that. Lily Pad 2 and adjusted orbit. We'll take a look at that later. Poodle engine orbiting the sun. Expires in 2 hours. There would be something we could do though in the future. Probably have time before it expires, and that would, yeah, just a manned mission or crewed mission beyond Kerbin's sphere of influence and then back again. So let's grab that one as well. Okay. And we're actually at our max contracts now. So now we need to find a launch window. Because really, I mean, you can leave anytime for Minmus, but it's nice to arrive when it is more or less in line with Kerbin's equator. So let's go to the tracking station. Now, by a rough estimate, it takes about a quarter of Minmus's orbit to get there from Kerbin. So if we align it with the Mun, which has no inclination, like that, or let me see here. No, I'm rotating the wrong direction. There we go. Okay, so we want the Minmus to be like here, and then so when we leave, or rather when we arrive, it'll be here. And so then I think we will have to do the least amount of inclination correction. So let's time warp forward until we get Minmus over here. So it should be maybe a few weeks. Alright, I think that's about right. Okay, looks like it's getting a little later in the day. Now, since it's been a little while, let's see if any new contracts have appeared. And yep, these look a little different. Satellite, change spyglass, no. Test command pod, be easy, and let's see, scientist, Kerbals Mountains. Change trial, it's a specific place. Well, we'll check that out later. Relay, observations, Duna satellite. 25 years. I want to pick that up just because in the phase 2 of our space program, once all the goals are drawn up, we will be sending satellites or probes to other planets. Duna would be one of the easier ones to reach, and we should be able to complete this fairly easy. 500,000 funds, nothing to sneeze at. First, we need to upgrade our facility if we want to accept that. So we can easily afford that. So congratulations, Gene. Mission Control is now the only fully completed facility. And we can grab that contract. Okay. Oh yeah, we were going to grab this easy peasy one as well. Alright, let's get the Turquoise Sky on the launch pad here. And here we go. Let's fix the flag. Actually didn't record it, but I added some ladders, which I forgot. Not super necessary on Minmus, but nice to have. And also some external cams. So, don't want these three. Want Valentina, Kirksey, and Madya. Madya's in that one, because that's the engineer's seat. Okay, let's launch. Alright, Valentina, Kirksey, and Madja are in the capsule. It's been suggested that we do a IVA mission, so I'm going to try to stay in IVA as long as possible in here. Looks like Kirksey's all buckled in. Madja, you're okay down there as well? Alright, sounds like it's time to go. Got our external camera here. This one's to view the boosters. There's a couple other for landing on Minmus. Get something on there. Alright, and I think we are good to go. Everyone ready? In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff. Here we go. It's probably going to be a lot of me staring at the nav ball here. It's nice to have the booster cam view. Nice evening for a launch. Oh, Kirksey's a little uncertain about this. It's okay, Valentina's done this before. Okay, we're going to begin our pitch over maneuver. Let's check in with the others. Here's Madge's seat, down in the engineering compartment. And here's Kirksey. She's got a nice map of Kerbin. Can't see the nav ball from here. Oh, Valentina's happy. Okay, let's get back on course. Oh, we're starting to see the curvature of the planet through our booster cam there. That's pretty cool. Looks like we're starting to get a little bit of compression heating effects. Boosters should be exhausted fairly soon. There they go. Oops. Didn't mean to change view there. But we can see boosters going. See, I need where can I see my apoapsis? Data. Orbit. Ah, there's our apoapsis. Okay. Okay, once our apoapsis is up to 75, I'm going to kill the throttle, and then we can wait until we get there. Okay, kill the throttle. Everything looking good. You can see the stars now. Just gonna enter map view so we can have a can set up our maneuver node. I think that seems good. Oh good, our maneuver node stuff appears on the display here. So let's try to get ourselves pointed towards that vector. So unfortunately we don't get the handy information from better burn time in this view, but our burn is going to be 21 seconds. So we'll want to burn when our node is 10 seconds away, thereabouts. We want to ditch our lifter before our periapsis exits the atmosphere, just so that it will re-enter. Won't be causing more space junk. Okay, I think everyone is fairly relaxed at this point. Coming up on our burn. Okay, let's go. So watch our periapsis carefully. Oh, a little too far. Well, maybe the decouple will eject it back into the atmosphere. So off it goes. Can't see it. Let's see if we can... Oh yeah, there it goes. One of the cams was on the lifter itself, but we still have some cams on the lander. You can see our lifter heading off there. Hopefully the force of the decoupler will be enough to force it back into the atmosphere. But if not, then we have a monument to the Minmus mission left in orbit. Oh, Kirksey's happy now. That's good to see. You can see the galaxy out there. And in our cam, we got the rim of the planet. Okay, well, let's get ourselves pointed prograde again. Now we need to make another maneuver to leave for Minmus. Let's get rid of that maneuver node. And where is Minmus? There it is. So, I want to burn actually almost where we are right now. Yeah, I'm gonna just burn prograde. Actually, maybe I should do a maneuver. Don't want to screw it up. Oh, come back, maneuver node. Oh no, we're gonna be a little late. Come on. Well, we can probably afford to go around once. Should be fine. Kirksey and Madja will get to experience an orbit of Kerbin before they leave for Minmus. The Mune seems to be causing us problems. Immune. I had not anticipated this. There we go, Minmus encounter. Okay, so we're going to orbit the planet once, then make our burn. But I think that will be in the next episode. So I hope you have enjoyed this. This has been Promi. Thanks for watching.